Good evening, everyone. My name is Jackie Wallace, and I'm a career coach over in Career Services. My industry areas are education, public, and human services. But it's my great pleasure tonight to host Sharon Griffin for tonight's workshop focused on graduate studies. So, Sharon, I'm going to pass the mic over to you. I'll put myself on mute, and there'll be some great opportunities right now, Sky, because you're the only one that joined us. But we can do some personalized Q&A and everything. And if other folks join us, we'll make it a little more interactive and meeting folks' needs as they jump on. So thank you so much for joining us.
Great. Thank you, Jackie. That was a very nice introduction. So hi, I'm Sharon Griffin. I'm the graduate admissions counselor here at SUNY Oswego's Division of Graduate Studies. And part of my role here is not only to talk to students about what graduate opportunities exist here at SUNY Oswego, but also to answer questions and kind of guide students as they have questions about graduate studies in general. So even if your interest tonight isn't necessarily about finding out about Oswego's programs, which of course I'm more than happy to share with you, if you have questions in general about seeking out, how to seek out graduate school, anything from the inquiry stage through application stage, funding opportunities, we can talk about anything and everything that you might have concerns about or just questions about in general. So I know we have Sky with us tonight. So far, you're the only one that has joined us. I'm hoping others maybe are just running a little late. If you're comfortable with this, Sky, you feel free to unmute or type in the message in the chat. What brings you here tonight? What questions do you have? Maybe tell us a little bit about your background and what type of graduate program you might be interested in.
Yeah, so you can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. That's the thing. The type of career I want says that they want like a master's degree, and I believe that part. I'm not good with words. I'm not even sure if I really want a master's degree, or at least that I'd have an energy to go to a master's degree straight out of a bachelor's.
Mm-hmm.
So, because in general, the type of degree I was initially aiming for, because the kind of field that I was looking at is like hyper specific, but technically you can get a bunch of different jobs in the same vicinity. It's like working in a college, you don't have to be a professor. You can have like different types of careers, right?
Sure. Yeah.
It's something like that. I don't want like a college type job, but that's the comparison I'm making.
Yeah.
And my main question sort of is, if I become certain that, yes, I want a master's degree, I'm exactly like what kinds of, I can be more specific later if that's needed, but what kinds of experience should I be looking for, both academic and non? Because the problem I'm seeing is with this kind of a job that needs a master's degree in order to like potentially do anything, I'm kind of wondering what I could build up to do that with in the meantime,
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you mind sharing what your undergraduate degree is?
Information science.
Okay. And so, and again, do you mind sharing what because it can differ depending on what program. So,
library science is the master's degree I'd potentially be aiming for at some point.
Okay.
Either directly after or maybe a year or so after graduating here.
Right. Okay. Okay. So a couple things. So I think first of all, taking time off before you go back to grad school is totally fine. There a lot of students don't know exactly what they want to go on for, if they want to go on, if they need to go on, kind of all those questions you've already posed. So there is absolutely nothing wrong with taking a break and kind of making sure that it's the pathway that's right for you before you invest time and money, frankly, into a master's program. Master's degree is, it's hard work, and the level of work and the cost of attendance is higher than undergrad. And it's not, if you're, and most graduate programs are very specific. So in your case, like library science, that's what's going to that's what it's going to get you to do, right? I mean, you can use that degree, of course, to go into a lot of things, but you can't transfer, at the graduate level. So I think it's good to be reflective of what it is you are already doing and thinking about, do I need this? Is this what I want to do? Do I have the bandwidth to go on right away? And if the answer to that is no, that you need to take a break, there's nothing wrong with that. Some students prefer just to kind of push right through. You're already a student, you kind of know how to be a student. But I think it really depends on the individual and how strong of a desire you have to get that degree. And also, of course, does the career require it? So, working in library sciences, I mean, I really think that probably what I would advise you is to connect with programs out there. We don't have that program here, but at other institutions that have it, and have a discussion with their admissions person. Keep in mind, they're probably going to try to get you to go, right? That's kind of their job. But at least to be able to tell you, what kind of career outcomes are there with this? What can I do with this degree besides working in research or library setting, and comparing, how much time does it take to get through the program? How many credit hours is it? Can I do it part-time? Is it online? Can I work while I'm doing this? So there's a lot of things to consider. So I would just, do your research. I think as far as academically being prepared, I think it depends on the program and what their requirements are. Typically students getting into any of our graduate programs need to have at least a 3.0 GPA or better. And then it depends on the applicant pool from year to year as to whether or not students need, additional prerequisite courses, or if it's a competitive program, then that 3.0 might not be high enough. So there's a lot of questions that really need to be answered at the institutions that actually have the program that you're looking at. But I'd say talking to them, finding out what it is that they're looking for in a candidate, and seeing where it fits. I know you mentioned non-academically, so I guess I'm not 100% clear on what you mean by that. Can you clarify that part of your question?
Oh, what I meant by non-academically is if I decide to take like a gap year, I'm obviously not going to have access to like a college massive resources, so and opportunities from a college. So what I mean by non-academic is just basically any given resource I might have not being a college student,
Resource to look for graduate programs?
I suppose I wasn't sure how to phrase it, because in my head, academic resources, it's basically just anything that a college can provide, essentially. But in the event I take a gap year, but I have to still kind of actively look for things, but.
Right. Well, I can tell you, and I think Jackie's probably about to jump on and say this, that as an alum, you have access to all the resources that are here.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Jackie, you want to kind of share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so even career services, what we do for life. So if you wanted to jump on a call with one of our career coaches and kind of talk through your goals, how to gain experience, how to market yourself for employment or graduate school, how to search for even gap year experiences, what kind of opportunities could help you be more competitive for, where you want to go to next in your career or higher education. So yeah, you have access to, all those. We live in an interesting kind of little globe in that we have all these clubs, organizations, academic support and career services and everything kind of just, right down the hall or right down the street. But we're available virtually and in person. A lot of, those resources you can still kind of chime into as an alumni and stuff too.
Good to know. I'm trying to think of would there be anything that would be kind of like off limits once I graduate?
I would think like you might not be able to join a club organization on campus, things that are restricted to maybe student involvement, but there's
I
lots of professional associations out there, for example. And even in your community, lots of ways to get involved and such as well, even volunteering at your local library or historical society or things like that.
I've been
So
doing
there's
that for a
always
little
unique
bit,
ways.
but
Oh, good.
which is nice. I just don't think the kind of volunteer work I've been participating in is like that build upable to what I'd ultimately be doing if I actually worked at a library.
Mhm.
Sort of.
So
It's
there's
nice.
lots of
I really
transferable
enjoy it,
skills.
but it's not a very buildable skill.
Well, I know employers from talking with them really do value that service because it says a lot about a person what you do for free, your time that you have available as well too. So I know service in general is a sought after experience on a resume too. And Sharon, I know that there were some questions too for some other registrants that might be applicable just in general, and it's how do you balance when you go to grad school and all your commitments, as well as like how do you fund graduate school? So I
Right.
thought those are a couple neat questions in the registration
Sure.
too.
Yeah, yeah. So thank you for bringing those up. I think that, you know, again, what's interesting about graduate study students is that they come from everywhere. So there's students who are adult students kind of returning. There's students coming straight out of undergrad who are kind of 22 and kind of went straight through the programs. There are students who have full-time jobs. There's students who leave their jobs to go back to school and make that sacrifice. So then there's a financial side to it. There are people who have families to consider. So there's so much that goes into this decision. It's a pretty major decision to go back to school or to continue on with schooling. And so finding that balance, figuring out what works best for you. Look for programs. If you have concerns, look for programs that are flexible, perhaps online or hybrid. Kind of know your learning style. If you like an online class or asynchronous classes, some programs are offered part-time. There are some that are pretty strictly full-time. We have a couple of full-time programs that really require kind of a commitment. But a lot of programs are part-time, so you can work. But at the same time, I could speak from my own experience when I got my master's degree that, I was working full-time and also, taking care of the home front, if you will, with children and stuff. So, I found only taking one class at a time was suitable for me. So it took me a few years to get through the program, but that's what worked for me. So it really depends on what works best for you and having that flexibility, working with your advisors. Graduate level coursework can be a little more daunting as far as the amount of work you have to put into it. But full-time at the graduate level is 9 credit hours. So it's different than undergrad. So 9 credits is considered full-time. And any student who's taking at least 6 credit hours can qualify for, and they're matriculated into a program, can get federal student aid in the form of loans. So as far as financing your graduate school experience, it really, again, is going to depend from school to school. As to what they have to offer. What I can share is that with a SUNY school or with at least here at SUNY Oswego, we are the best price point around at $471 per credit hour. It's very affordable comparatively speaking. And we offer over 120 graduate assistantships. So there's a lot of opportunities to offset the costs by doing an assistantship. There's scholarships, both internal and external scholarships students can apply for, and fellowships. Some of this language you might be familiar with, others might not be, but for the most part, you really need to talk to the individual schools and see what they have to offer, and not to be too afraid to apply for scholarships, apply for anything that you think. It's amazing the number, or I should say the low number of applicants that we get for some of our scholarships. I think people see that there's only a few being offered, so they just don't bother applying, and then that money is just sitting there. So, reach out, talk to the different departments about what their funding opportunities are. And again, it can differ, not only within a university, but within programs within a university. So, for example, we have an amazing fellowship program for students going into our higher education leadership program that are taking it face to face. Where some of our other programs don't have quite as much funding. That's just like one example. So it's important that you reach out, ask the questions. Remember, it's an investment. So especially if you're going into a field that requires a master's degree, and in your case, Sky, like if you want to work as in library science in a field that requires a master's degree, then what is that return on investment? You might be paying upfront for a degree, but in the long run, over the course of your career, with what you can earning potential and just career wise, being able to take on management or leadership roles or whatnot, with having that additional education. So lots of things to think about there. Did you have something to chime in with, Jackie, or are you just checking in?
The other question I thought was kind of interesting too is you mentioned a 3.0 GPA. Some other programs might be more competitive. What would you say for folks that when they graduate, they don't meet that requirement? Is time away and experience weigh a little bit more in that case? If they do have some real world experience and they didn't do as well as an undergrad as they had hoped?
Yeah, I would say that, again, it's going to depend on the program and depend on the school. I know that here, we have some of our programs have become quite competitive, and we're seeing students with, well above the 3.0 GPA, not being admitted into some of these programs. But others, yeah, definitely. If you're looking to make a career change, and you're 10 years out, 15 years out, and or even if it's just a couple of years out, but if you have work experience that relates to the field that you want to go into, or a lot of people will shift careers altogether, and so that undergraduate GPA is not reflective of their abilities, depending on the situations. I think that many people can say that. In what's important is really is understanding what the program has to offer and what you can offer the program. So doing the research, talking to faculty. I know here at Oswego, we can connect prospective students with the faculty coordinators for all of our programs, who will take the time to talk to students and really get to know them. It's a very holistic approach to admission. So although there used to be 3.0 requirements that were set up by the state, especially for education programs, that's no longer the case. So there is more flexibility with that GPA. It's just something to shoot for, but there's no guarantee one way or the other. I mean, you could have above a 3.0 not be admitted, and you could have below a 3.0 and be admitted to different programs. So it really just depends. But I wouldn't, if you have below a 3.0, I wouldn't say that means you cannot go to grad school. There are things you can do. Even if it's a program that isn't ready to accept you, you can always go back and take additional courses. You can start out as a non-matriculated student where you take a graduate course or two and demonstrate that you do have the ability to be successful in graduate school. That is definitely taken into consideration. Some programs will conditionally accept a student based on seeing how they do that first semester. So there's definitely pathways to get students where they want to be, regardless of what may or may not have happened at the undergrad level. Sky, do you have any additional questions? Did we clarify or just confuse you more with some of what we said?
I don't have any additional questions at the moment. I think I'm just a little bit more scared to actually just contact these universities in general, because I'm not entirely sure what to ask, or if by the time I would ask, I'd be too late, sort of. Because I know that there's a deadline, and chances are I'm probably gonna have to take a gap year no matter what.
Yeah, I mean,
sure.
Again, I think searching online, looking at websites, you're going to find a lot of the information that you need, deadlines and application processes, things of that nature. Most institutions have admissions folks like me. So don't be intimidated by us. Yeah. Reach out, ask the questions. They've heard everything, and are more than willing to, to help you. So, don't be afraid to do that. And don't be surprised. We're on a rolling admission. So some of our programs do have strict deadlines. But others we accept applications right up until, right before the start of the semester. So even our programs with enrollment deadlines, we have not hit them yet for next year. So our application deadlines for our most competitive programs aren't until February. So check again, you got to go and check the individual institutions to see what their requirements are. But I'd say start with their website. That's usually a really good space to start. And a lot of times on the website, I know we have on ours where there's a place that you can even put questions in for their admissions counselor to answer. So if you don't feel comfortable like talking one-on-one with them, you can have like an email exchange to get the ball rolling. They may have information sessions where you can just sign up kind of like this, where you can just sign up and, kind of be in the background and just learn more about the programs. So, if it's something you think you want to do, there's never a wrong way to go about it. Never a bad question. So, I hope that you do decide to do that. And hello, we have another Sky. Look at that. Welcome. I'm Sharon Griffin. I'm the graduate admissions counselor here. And we're kind of just doing a Q&A, Sky, with tonight's session, giving students the opportunity to ask questions that are on their mind or concerns or what kind of information are you looking for when you're looking at this stage, looking at considering graduate school. And so please feel free to unmute and share with us if you would like. And if you have specific questions, I would be happy to answer any that you have.
Great, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Cool. I did have a question. My educational career will be very broken up over a decade. Does that have an impact in admissions to programs?
No. So in other words, you started schooling, maybe took a break, then went back, that sort of thing.
Yes. Yeah.
That is not uncommon. A lot of students, there's lots of different pathways to get there. And so, no, it does not hurt you as a candidate for a program that if you've taken that pathway at all. Do you know what you want to perhaps pursue?
Yes. And actually I went back to earn my bachelor's degree with the intention of getting an MLIS. So a Master's of Library Information Science.
Oh wow, that is so interesting because
if you both don't know each other.
Yeah, no, we don't. I asked the same question.
You're both interested in the same type of programs. That's awesome.
Really interesting.
That's really interesting.
Hello.
Sky meets Sky. That's great. So yeah, so anyway, so what is your undergraduate degree going to be in?
It'll be linguistics with a minor in English.
Okay.
Oh wait,
okay.
I think I've met you.
Are you a linguistics student as well?
No, I feel like you were the student who I suggested what I was currently studying, and you looked very annoyed.
So what you're currently studying again, Sky 2, are you information science, you said?
Yep.
Okay. So many good programs at Oswego too.
That's funny.
That
I
is
don't remember that. I'm sorry if that was me.
Oh my goodness, too funny. So are you both graduating this year, or where are you all with your schooling?
I currently have 2 semesters left after this one, but I think I have to take a semester off due to financial reasons. So I don't know when I'll finish, but
okay. And
So I'm putting
Sky,
some resources in the chat too. So Career Services has some information about kind of searching and applying for graduate school, and I'm going to pop in some resources from our site. One of the things Sharon had talked about was things to think about as far as funding goes. So, specific to Oswego, I'm going to put our information, but these are also great resources and questions to ask for any programs you're applying to is how do you fund? What are the opportunities, scholarships, fellowships, grad assistantships, aid, and those types of things too.
yeah, definitely. Definitely. So we have 2 minutes left. If either of you have any follow-up questions, and you also are more than welcome to reach out to either Jackie in Career Services or to me in my office with any questions that you might have. If you think of anything, after the discussion tonight, please use us as a resource. Here to help, and talking to your advisors as well, to help guide you with what programs. Unfortunately, SUNY Oswego does not offer library sciences as a graduate degree, but there's a lot of great programs out there. So I was suggesting to the other Sky, it was just to take a look at the websites. It sounds like you've got a little bit of time before you're actually going to be pursuing. I know both of you talked about taking a little bit more time before you're actually going to be looking into pursuing a degree. So use that to your advantage and do a lot of research and reach out and ask questions, and especially about funding opportunities, because they're there. You just gotta dig. So any last questions from either of you?
If you can click on the link I just shared at the bottom of the chat too, is for the survey and form for after tonight's workshop. So if you can grab it before you jump off, we greatly appreciate any feedback as well. So thank you so much for joining us this evening. And again, my name is Jackie Wallace. I'm a career coach for SUNY Oswego Career Services. What we offer to alumni and for life. So, whether you're continuing on in your job search, graduate school search, or, taking a gap year experience, we can help you apply and articulate your experiences and transitional skills that you've been gaining all throughout your time in Oswego and, before and after. So we're happy to support you, and lots of great information in the chat as well.
Great. Thank you, Jackie. That was excellent.
You're welcome. I hope you both have a wonderful night.
Thanks so much.
Okay,
You're
good
welcome.
night.
Bye.
Bye.